Morning guys, Hutch coming again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The first LAN of Black Ops 7 goes down last night. 4 teams in attendance, and this time Mercules does not come out on top. Gentlemates from Paris, they take the victory in the end. Shotzzy was a zombie at the end of this series. Loads of key storylines. FaZe turn up and bomb out in last place. Lots of talk about that. Also Thieves finally getting a victory against a CDL team here in BO7, but still some talk about Kenny's performances last night. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. There is a lot to get into today. We're going to start here with an interesting talk about the behind the scenes of the Call of Duty League. Now, a lot of this stuff we've kind of semi-known about, but has never been leaked or discussed quite as publicly as this. Obviously, it's not public, it's a leak, but it's coming out of Sheep Esports. The article discusses what things look like for the teams in terms of guaranteed revenues when it comes to, well, the YouTube deal, which is no longer there, of course, this season, but mainly when we're talking revenues about the skin sales in the game. Now, this is actually a big change. This has been rumoured for a little bit of time. We know that the franchise fees are now gone, effectively. The historic revenue sharing model has provided a 50-50 split on in-game item sales between clubs and the publisher, with 75% going to the club concerned for the purchase of the item and 25% to a global pool. The guaranteed amount from the publisher was around $500,000, but they are now changing that. So there's no longer this global pool where all of the teams will get some cuts. They're getting rid of that. And now teams will only receive the proportional share of their sales. And some teams, that's obviously going to be an awful lot lower. So this is very interesting. They actually talk here about some of the numbers specifically, that in the first half of 25, Activision apparently sold more than 360,000 CDL skins, which adds up to about $4.3 million. You then take half of that to, the publisher, and then half of that will end up filtering down through the teams. Apparently, OpTic had sold 120,000 bundles at mid-year, so they made about 720,000 euros, this is, that of which 540,000 went to the Green Wall, and then the rest of it went to that global pool, I guess, is the discussion there. Gentlemates sold 60,000, 100 Thieves sold 50,000. Those are the rumoured numbers. But the point is that from now on, the team will just get the money of their proportion of what they sell, which sounds pretty sensible to me. But very interesting, because what it does mean, an organisation member tells us anonymously, everyone will operate at a loss, except maybe FaZe, 100 Thieves, Gentlemates and OpTic, incidentally the 4 teams that are at that tournament that we're about to discuss, but effectively the big teams when it comes to, let's say, branding and likely skin sales as well. So somebody at some organisation said, we are going to revise the budget allocated to Call of Duty so that it is more aligned with this new economic reality. So, obviously for the team, the poverty orgs, or the majority of the league, this isn't a good thing, because they no longer get to take a slice of what OpTic have made, effectively. But if I'm OpTic, I'm thinking, well, my skins that I sold for my branding, and it encourages the teams to not just rest on their laurels, right? I think fundamentally this is a good thing, and the way that we want the league to be going. It may be concerning for many of these organizations, but okay, now you've got to start promoting your skin bundle. You've got to start actually trying to build some sort of brand, because the reality is that some of these teams at the bottom of the league, they have been getting by off OpTic skin sales, because they will get some sort of cut of that. That's then enough to pay their players the minimum salary. Then they get the cut of the YouTube deal. That's enough to keep the lights on, and then it makes sense to stay in the league. But now that's not going to be the case. So hopefully this will mean that in due course we may have more drama in the league with organisations and stuff, but it might mean that in a couple of years the organisations we have are actually serious. Because let's be honest, Cloud9, for example, they've come in, and what have they really done? Nothing at all. They're just here to go to the World Cup, it seems like, at the end of the year. It's not the same that New York Subliners used to be, that's for sure. So it would be nice if Cloud9 would maybe, as a result of this, actually try and use what they've got as a pretty good brand to start pushing this stuff. The league also they were discussing further down, some of the people from the organizations, how at least Activision gives quite a lot of play and room for the teams to use their branding in the skins and all this. So I think this should be a positive, really. It's bad news for the poverty orgs. It might be good news for the league in the longer term. But let's talk about this tournament last night, because Kaysan put on another $50,000 LAN. Great to see, and yes, I know there were delays, there were technical issues. It always is what it is. You run a first LAN event in the new season, there are going to be problems, and it's always frustrating to watch and to play, obviously. But it's also very important because, you know, they need to understand what the issues are with playing this game on LAN, and so we get to Major 1, it's in a better position. And it's just great to have a LAN event full stop. Now, I will say before we go any further, does this event count? I know there's been some talk about that because the other day there was some discussion that, well, what about the $75,000 CDL tournament? Is that a chip, right? Yes, it was online, but it was an official CDL tournament. It was double elimination, 16 teams were there, including all the pro teams. So does that count? My answer is no. This tournament, people are saying, does it count? It's a LAN event. There are 4 of the top teams on Black Ops 7 in attendance. Does it count? My answer again is no, at least in terms of equivalency to a CDL major. But it's still a big deal. And I think what was great about this is that Gentamates were there, Gotaga was streaming to well over 40,000 viewers at a point. It probably got to more than that. And also you got to keep in mind that this tournament went very late indeed, especially for the French fans who would try to stay up and watch this. So yeah, it's going to be a mega season. I think that's just my conclusion first up. But we had a load of very interesting moments here. FaZe played Gentamates, first of all. This was a very interesting moment. So HyDra is going for the score here in Overload. He jumps over here and he dies. And Scrap, though, follows it up. He runs over HyDra's body, assuming that he's picked up the device, and he slides it into the portal. But he's not scored the point because actually the device dropped further back. Now, this is a pretty interesting nuance, but effectively the reason why the device dropped here is because that's when HyDra left the ground, and the device does not drop straight down from when he died in midair. It drops back to where he left the ground. Now, this is interesting. The reason why it's like this is because if he jumps off the map, then you don't want the device falling out of the playable area. So that's always kind of been how it is. You might argue that, well, if HyDra is still in the playable area when he is killed, then it should still drop down directly below him. How easy that is to code and to develop, I don't know. It probably would be ideal, but also arguably Scrap should, know better, right? Like if HyDra's going to go for the jump chal here, effectively Scrap should try and be in position to wait around rather than pushing forwards. But yeah, I don't know. Just something that the guys are going to have to learn over time. The conclusion, however, is that LA Thieves lose again. We know that Gentamates have looked very good in this game so far, even without Neptune hiding inside a rock, as we saw at the grand finals of that 75k tournament. But Thieves, look, yeah, in scrims, they're looking all right. But in actual matches, it's not been great for them so far. They get 3-1s here. They won the Surge, but both of the hard points were absolute domination, really, by the Gentlemates, especially map 4. Kenny goes 9 in 27 for a .33 KD. And again, immediately, look, it's not like Kenny was the only one playing pretty poorly on Thieves yesterday. It was not really a great team effort from top to bottom. But again, immediately people are going to talk, right? Neptune was just absolutely gutted these guys out of their shoes on that final black cart. He said, like, these guys can't kill me, ball don't lie, or something at the end of the final map, which is pretty funny. So Gentlemate's looking really good. I don't think anyone doubted the talent and the potential that they had with that roster, but it's just remarkable how it is a similar team to what Thieves had last year. And right now, the Gentlemates roster is just categorically better. Now, it is very early days. Things can and will change, and I'm still expecting a very competitive season. But it is really interesting right now, and it's also good that we do not have a one-team league, right? Because it's not like OpTic are just the best by an absolute mile, and they can't possibly be touched. They had a couple of competitive series on their hands. They played FaZe yesterday, and, well, they end up taking the victory there. It was not especially close in the end. The map 1 dem was a 250-151. Mercules had a masterclass. There was a lot of talk about FaZe because Abuzah so far in this game has actually looked really good. But yesterday that was not the case. Again, on LAN for the first time, technical delays, some level of frustration. Shotzzy was well past his bedtime when we got to these final couple of series. So he was, he was on Mars basically. But in the first couple of series he was playing very well. But it was really interesting to see FaZe because, especially with Neptune absolutely frying and looking like one of the best players in the game, FaZe could have gone for a different route. I know that there's a lot of FaZe fans talking about this today. Paris Gentlemates then go on to take down OpTic in this series. As I say, I've got a lot of scoreboards here, so I'll just kind of go through some of them as we see in this moment. They eventually win in the game 5 here. The Colossus was domination from OpTic to take it to 5, so it was a competitive affair. But in the end, Paris take them down in 5. Ghosty goes 8-1, Mercules goes 1-7. You're not going to see that every day. But, you know, from the FaZe perspective, they then went down to Thieves. The Thieves finally won a series against a pro team, which has not happened in the 75k tournament until now. Again, Kenny only had a 0.83, wasn't exactly great, but Abuzah had a 0.84 on the other side. And it does feel a little bit like FaZe is almost where we expected them to be, as in it's Simp and Inshallah, right? Like they need Simp to just absolutely pop off, and if that doesn't happen, they are going to struggle against the other top teams who they were playing in this tournament. And with Neptune frying, there have been questions. Should they have got him instead? Should they have, you know, did they even choose the wrong half of the Surge roster? Should they have got, let's say, Nasty and Nep instead of Ofra and Abuzah? Like, I think it's too early to come to these clear conclusions. The reality is that FaZe finish last place in this tournament. Thieves advance onwards, and, well, as Simp says, tough showing at the Kaysan LAN. Eye-opening reps, though, to be honest. Lots of the year left. I thought that was interesting for him to say these were eye-opening reps, because clearly, and even Thieves said this, right? Kenny said this, that their scrims were going quite well. They played the 75k and got bopped. FaZe turned up here, got bopped, and maybe it felt like they're pretty good in scrims in recent days, but when it comes to a tournament style on LAN, it's not so good. So clearly a lot for Simp to think about, and their first game is against Thieves on the 5th of December. Then Thieves bomb out though as well. They played OpTic in the losers bracket. Dashy calls game at the end of it. I mean, here we are on the Scar hardpoint. Dashy, Mercules, both with some pop-off moments, and yeah, that was enough to get them to the finals. Shotzzy, as I say, at this point he was past his bedtime. He was kind of a non-factor in these final couple of series. The poor guy looked really tired. He wasn't calling out. So again, you can take this with a little bit of a pinch of salt, but the reality is that Thieves still got beat, and they got beat in all the hardpoints again. They lost the game 1 on the Den. Kenny went 20 and 28. Then the final map, it was pretty similar all across the board. I mean, look, again, I saw loads of discussion. Oh, it's time to go. Kenny's got to be dropped. It's like, look, if we're still having this conversation a couple of months, sure. And it's not looked great for Thieves early doors. Like, just watching these games last night, but it's also, it's not just on Kenny. Yeah, he didn't have a good tournament yesterday, dropping 0.6s, dropping 0.8s and all this. But it's not, you know, Scrap had a good series here in the final one, but also HyDra had a 0.89, so yeah, I think it's still very much early days. I think it's too early to write off these rosters. We're still only a couple of weeks into the new game. But to see them play on LAN was a great showing, really, of where the teams currently are. And there will continue to be discussion. There's a lot of pressure on Kenny, right? Let's just put it that way. He wasn't the first choice for Thieves. Some are very much questioning how the hell he got this opportunity given the circumstances. Some were saying last night, maybe justifiably, should they have just kept down Ghosty instead? The grand finals gets underway, and the first map was an absolute blockbuster here. I mean, OpTic pulled off a remarkable comeback on the Blackheart. They were down like 120 points. They pull off this comeback. Dashy is standing it up, giving it so large. I thought this was great to see, like a real taster of the season to come. Dashy stands up and says it's just Ghosty in finals. I'll share a couple of clips here right as we close out the video for you guys to enjoy. But yeah, this is an insane comeback. The best of BO7 so far. It's going to be pretty tough to beat, right? I mean, to be down 221 to 97 and to come back and bring the victory, that was mega. You know, maybe Scrap's right about playing Blackheart's hardpoint instead of Raid. But yeah, that's what was happening on that side. But then, to be fair to Gentlemates, then they started a takeover. Simp was talking to Neptune and saying, damn, you're actually godlike. Like, you're actually the best. You're the reason why we're winning. And it went so late at night that we don't even have the full stats for this yet, because I think easyMack at some point had to go to bed. But these were the stats of the first couple of maps anyway, before then eventually the Hardpoint Colossus and the Search and Destroy Den went the way of Gentlemates, and they close out the tournament and are the opening champions. So congrats to Gentlemates. It's great for the storylines of the season. OpTic, of course, looked really good at the 75k, but they did get pushed to 7. This time Gentlemates take the victory. These are the two teams to beat at this early part of the season. Thieves looked a little bit better, maybe you could argue, or maybe it was just FaZe looking worse. fascinated to see where these teams slot in with the likes of a Toronto and those other teams, of course, that weren't in attendance here. But the big boys were, and we got to see early doors what that looks like. So only a few days away now, right? Today's Monday. This is officially, match week, as it were. Right? On Friday, the matches are going to be here, and Dan Ghosty takes the victory with the Paris Gentamates. We are in for a cracking season, that's got to be clear. Shout out to Kaysan running this tournament as well. Obviously the casters and everything like that. I know that people have their questions on these tourneys and the problems that they tend to suffer with, but it's still fantastic for the community, and I know that the players enjoy it as well. So hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
It's gonna be tough.
Wait, he's scrapped. I'm just living.
Great pinch at Envoy.
3 down. Last guy mid.
This might be all she wrote. This could be over right here. This is not close at all.
I'm in. One shot. Nice, good job. We went off this.
See if they talk some shit.
I think they will. I think they will. Oh man, it's a hoop mixtape.
They can't make it. There's literally just
middle me. These guys can't fucking kill me. These guys just cannot kill me. Holy fuck, bro. Ball don't lie.
Ball don't lie. I mean, they were up big before the restart, before that map reset.
And it is gone under a crushing blow.
Oh my god! It's just Ghosty in finals! Oh my god!
Oh no, don't say that.
It's fucking awful!
Oh no, but he was playing so... Oh, but he was...
Oh my god!
And Dashy. There we go.
Let's fucking go. Shit. That was just a fucking fake rep. Come on, baby. That's not shit. That was just a fucking fake rep. Come on, Trev. I'm telling you, bro. You're the fucking best, man. Come on, bro. There's a fucking reason we were literally fucking winning, bro. Come on. I love when you fucking do these fucking shit stains, bro.
You don't got to a devastating put down.
Good shit, guys. Shit.
The Gentlemates walking away with a win, and in the grand finals, it was not Ghosty, it was their Phantom.